The name of the coachman was John Manley. He had a wife and one little child, and they lived in the coachman's cottage, very near the stables. The next morning he took me into the yard and gave me a good grooming. Just as I was going into my box with my coat soft and bright, the squire came in to look at me and seemed pleased. "John," he said, "I meant to have tried the new horse this morning, but I have other business. You may as well take him around after breakfast. Go by the common and the high wood, and back by the water-mill and the river. That will show his paces." "I will, sir," said John. After breakfast he came and fitted me with a bridle. He was very particularly in letting out and taking in the straps to fit my head comfortably. Then he brought a saddle, but it was not broad enough for my back. He saw it in a minute and went for another which fitted nicely. He rode me first slowly, then with a trot, then a canter, and when we were on the common he gave me a light touch of his whip. We had a splendid gallop. "Ho, ho, my boy," he said, as he pulled me up. "You would like to follow the hounds, I think." As we came back through the park, we met the squire and Mrs. Gordon walking. They stopped, and John jumped off. "Well, John, how does he go?" "First rate, sir," answered John. "He is as fleet as a deer, and has a fine spirit, too, but the lightest touch of the rein will guide him." Down at the end of the common we met one of those travelling carts, hung all over with baskets, rugs and such like. You know, sir, many horses will not pass those carts quietly. He just took a good look at it, and then went on as quiet and pleasant as he could be. They were shooting rabbits near the highwood, and a gun went off close by. He pulled up a little and looked, but did not stir a step to left or right. I just held the reins steady and did not hurry him, and it's my opinion he has not been frightened or ill-used while he was young." "That's well," said the squire. "I will try him myself to-morrow." The next day I was brought up for my master. I remembered my mother's counsel and my good old master's, and I tried to do exactly what he wanted me to do. I found he was a very good horse-rider, and thoughtful for his horse, too. When he came home, the lady was at the back hall door as he rode up. "Well, my dear," she said, "how do you like him?" "He is exactly what John said," he replied. "A pleasanter creature I never wished to mount. What shall we call him? Would you like Ebony?" said she. "He is as black as ebony." "No, not Ebony. Will you call him Blackbird, like your uncle's old horse?" "No, he is far handsomer than old Blackbird ever was." "Yes," she said, "he is really quite a beauty, and he has such a sweet, good-tempered face, and such a fine, intelligent eye. What do you say to calling him Black Beauty?" "Black Beauty? Why, yes, I think that is a very good name. If you like, it shall be his name." And so it was. When John went into the stable and told James that master and Misset had chosen a good sensible English name for me, that meant something, not like Marengo or Pegasus or Abdallah. They both laughed, and James said, "If it was not for bringing him back the past, I should have named him Rob Roy, for I never saw two horses more alike." "That's no wonder," said John. "Didn't you know that Farmer Gray's old Duchess was the mother of them both?" I had never heard of that before, and so poor Rob Roy, who was killed at the hunt, was my brother. I did not wonder that my mother was so troubled. It seems that horses have no relations, at least. They never know each other after they are sold. John seemed very proud of me. He used to make my mane and tail almost as smooth as a lady's hair, and he would talk to me a great deal, of course. I did not understand all he said, but I learned more and more to know what he meant. And what he wanted me to do. I grew very fond of him. He was so gentle and kind. He seemed to know just how a horse feels. And when he cleaned me, he knew the tender places and the ticklish places. When he brushed my head, he went as carefully over my eyes as if they were his own, and never stirred up any ill temper. James Howard, the stable boy, was just was just as gentle and pleasant in his way. So I thought myself well off. There was another man who helped in the yard, but he had very little to do with Ginger and me. A few days after this, I had to go out with Ginger in the carriage. I wondered how we should get on together, or how we would get on together. But except laying her ears back when I was led up to her, she behaved very well. She did her work honestly, and did her full share, and I never wished to have a better partner in double harness. When we came to a hill, instead of slackening her pace, she would throw her weight right into the collar, and pull away straight up. We both had the same sort of courage at our work, and John had oftener to hold us in than urge us forward. He never had to use the whip with either of us. Then our paces were much the same, and I found it very easy to keep step with her when trotting, which made it pleasant, and master always liked it when we kept step well, and so did John. After we had been out 2 or 3 times together, we were quite friendly and sociable, which made me feel very much at home. As for Merrylegs, he and I soon became good friends. He was a cheerful, plucky, good-tempered little fellow, but he was a favorite with everyone, and especially with Miss Jessie and Flora, who used to ride him about in the orchard, and have fine little games with him and their little dog, Frisky. Our master had 2 other horses that stood in another stable. One was Justice, a roan cob, used for riding, or for the luggage cart. The other was an old brown hunter named Sir Oliver. He was past work now, but he was a great favorite with the master, who gave him the run of the park. He sometimes did a little light carting on the estate, or carried one of the young ladies when they rode out with their father, for he was very gentle, and could be trusted with the child as well as Merrylegs. The cob was strong, well-made, good-tempered horse, and we sometimes had a little chat in the paddock. But of course I could not be so intimate with him as with Ginger, who stood in the same stable.